winter on the Texas coast is the topic of today's video, because we've narrowed it down to like 4 primary categories, such as cost, the weather, activities or things to do, and of course the availability of RV sites and RV parks in and along the Texas coast.
We thought that those were probably the most important things that everybody would like to know about for the reason to go someplace.
Right. I mean, most RVers who full-time definitely want to winter somewhere where the weather's better. I mean, we're all supposedly chasing 70, right?
Right.
That magical number. A lot of people go to Florida, a lot of people go to Arizona, but we really haven't seen a whole lot of people who talk about going to Texas to winter. And since we wintered on the coast in Texas this year,
I can't figure out why people aren't coming here.
Right.
But I guess I'm glad that they're not, because we'll cover that later when it comes to availability.
Right. So we're going to start off with cost. Now, some of the things when we talk about cost are certainly individual to us specifically.
Correct.
And other things are just, you know, that is what they are. We stayed at 3 different RV parks while we were along the coast of Texas. And each place that we stayed there for a month. And kind of like what we answered in last week's video, which if you haven't seen, you should go check that out. We answered 35 RV living questions in 35 minutes. But really good information. But part of the reason that we stay for a month is because it's cheaper,
right?
Cost-wise.
Right? Because if you stayed a week, you're looking at $200 to $300 on average. And then if you stay 3 weeks, it's still the weekly cost.
Right.
If you stay one night, you're looking at about $50 a night.
Right.
So, on average now, we did 3 parks in 3 months, staying 1 month for each park. Our average is $15 a night.
Plus a little bit of change, but...
Yeah, just a little bit, but it's less than $16 per night in all 3 of these parks. Now, each park was a little bit different on cost. Our first park was $450. Our second park was $475. And our park that we're currently in right now is $495. Now, all 3 of these parks, one thing that you do need to keep in mind, and the $15 a night is not included, is the electricity. But because they all charge a different rate for their electricity and they all do it differently, we're not adding that in. So make sure that you remember that you're going to have to pay electricity if you stay 30 days or more.
Right. And that being said, the rate's a little bit different, so that will increase your daily rate. But something that makes it even harder for us to try and give you an idea of how much it costs is individual choice, right?
Right.
We choose to run ACs when it's hot or warm and sunny, you know?
When it's more humid outside.
Right, when it's more humid, things like that. So our electric bill might be higher than somebody who's like, I'm used to humidity, let it be.
Because we did see a lot of people who had their doors open or they're sitting outside and we're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm going to go turn my AC on. It's hot.
So, and if you need a way to try and calculate how much electric you use to try and prep, I would recommend a power watchdog for your trailer, which is a surge protector and so much more. And part of the reason I would recommend it is you can reset when you plug in, you can reset your power usage, and then you can gauge over a week how much power you used. It tracks how many kilowatt hours of power you're using while you're plugged in, and that will give you a rough idea of how to gauge your power usage. That way, if you're planning on going to a park for a month,
right,
you have an idea of what your consumption might be like.
Right. The other thing that you need to do is, if you're going to be staying that 30 days and they're going to be charging you per kilowatt hour, is take a picture of your meter when you first get there. Now, on the watchdog, we do find that it has been very accurate of how much we use, but we take a picture of your meter the day that you arrive, and then take a picture of it the day that you depart. Not that parks are being unfair or anything, but you just want to know that, you know, everything is going to be correct.
As you're traveling around Texas, one of the more expensive things that you run across is fuel. So we've really enjoyed some good fuel prices here on the coast of Texas. Now keep in mind, Alice and I stay about 20 miles away from the actual coast, maybe a little bit less in some cases, But the reason for that is the RV park's a little bit cheaper, because if you go right on the coast and you want the beach view, you're going to probably pay almost double on the daily rates. Now, also fuel. We average about $3 a gallon, maybe just over $3 a gallon for diesel. But when you do go close to the coast and you're on those small towns and you see diesel, it's going to be about $3.39 a gallon, sometimes $3.59.
Yeah.
And we really loved, one of the things Texas does is when you're driving along kind of like the islands, like Padre Island, and from over at Crystal Beach to Galveston, there's a ferry that you get on.
Guess how much the ferry is? It's free.
I mean, it doesn't cost you anything but some time.
Yeah.
You know, and there were a couple times we took the ferry where as soon as we got there, we got loaded on within 5 minutes.
Right.
And then there was one time,
oh my gosh,
really busy. It
was
took
like an hour.
Yeah, about an hour to get on.
Yeah.
So kind of hit and miss on those, but it saves you from having to drive way around.
And the extra little thing that you get if you do take one of these ferries, there's dolphins in the bay.
Right.
So you get to watch the dolphins as you go across. That was really cool.
One of the things we really loved was seeing all the campers on the beaches, which we'll talk about beaches coming up and activities, but all the campers, and it's free.
Do you love to boondock? Would you like to boondock on the beach? Hey, you got to come to the coast of Texas because they're everywhere. And we were pretty amazed at how many people are on the beach.
Right.
And it's free. You know, as long as you can stay there without, you know, if you have solar, no electricity, you need to empty your tanks.
Generators. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we've gone, just to give you an idea of what parts of the coast we've covered, we've gone from Crystal Beach all the way south to South Padre Island. And we've been on the beaches at each of those locations, and we've seen campers out on the beach at every single one of them.
Right.
And I believe you're allowed to stay 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's the 14-day.
So you can stay there for 14 days. And then when we went to Mustang Island State Park, there was a campground, a state park campground right there at the beach that had water and electric hookups and had little, like, not quite gazebos, but little overhangs, shelters. And that was $10 to $20 a night. $20 if you have hookups.
Right.
$10 a night if you're on the beach
for the primitive
camping.
Right.
So,
and they have a dump station.
Right.
So even if you're just out on the beach, you pay your $10 entry fee and you can use their dump station.
Right.
So that's a pretty inexpensive dump station. I didn't find any other dump stations in town, but I'm not going to say that they're not there.
You know, wherever you're wintering, what kind of costs are you seeing? Whether it's cost for fuel, cost for RV parks, if you boondock, what kind of problems do you incur with boondocking? Do you have any problems with finding dump stations, water, anything like that? Share that with the community so people who watch this video and read the comments have an opportunity to learn from you as well, because for us this is all about growing a community and sharing information to where people get as much information and stuff as they can to try and plan their adventures and their trips. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to hit the subscribe button. They are free. And then hit the like bell, because the like is also free.
Right.
Doesn't cost you a penny.
And it's so easy to do.
Right.
It's just a click.
Just move the arrow over and go click. It's that simple.
So the next topic is weather. So what we have been finding for weather is if you do a side-by-side comparison to the
Tampa
area, which is the west coast of Florida, to the coastal of Texas, you're going to find that your weather is pretty much the same.
Pretty similar.
I mean, you're going to have a little bit of that humidity. You're going to have your 70s. You're going to have your 50s. When we get a cold snap, we see that Florida's getting that cold snap in just a couple of days. So as far as weather goes, there's really no comparison. You can go to either place and have the same weather. So that's pretty awesome. Now for us, humidity is a little tough, but we deal with it, of course. But we've been having some really nice weather.
Right. So I'm going to put a graph in that shows you what we found for yearly averages for both the Tampa area and for the, what do we do, Corpus Christi area, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was Corpus Christi.
So we'll put that graph in showing you what the yearly weather patterns are like. And I believe it was Tampa in January or February actually got 1 inch more of rain on average than here. So that's pretty big when you're talking about a month.
Right.
So weather definitely is a good reason to come here. The weather's been good, and the humidity, has been a bit of a challenge for us, but not too bad. And I can't imagine it would be any better in Florida. I think when you go coastal, you're just going to deal with some humidity.
So if you love the sun and you love your beaches, this is the place to come.
Right. Okay, so we're going to talk about activities now, or things to do, however you want to look at it. We've been teasing a little bit about the beaches, and we want to give you some more information about the beaches. So one thing I've definitely found is the beaches are clean and they're pretty much empty.
And the water is warm.
Right.
Even Gordon takes off his shoes and walks in the water. That doesn't happen very often.
That's true. But you can tell, for me, I could tell the difference in temperature of the water when we were at Crystal Beach and then when we were down at South Padre Island. And now another thing is, I will say there's a change in the water. You'll see different colors and stuff in the water from Crystal Beach. It's kind of a little bit more of a gray in a way. When you're down to South Padre, it's got a lot of the green and the aqua blues.
Right.
Real pretty.
Yeah.
The beaches were a little bit more active down at South Padre Island. I think that's the more popular place this time of year. But even there, still,
oh my gosh, you could still have miles of nobody else around you, and so, even if you have just 1 or 2 people walking by you, that's better than 100 or 200 people that are going to be on these beaches.
And there's car access to the beaches like crazy.
Right.
I mean, we've been able to drive our truck right out onto the beach and then drive for miles up and down the beaches.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times we've gone to the beach and just parked, got the chairs out and just sat and watched the waves and the pelicans and stuff.
Right.
And we've really gotten to the point where in the mornings now, our morning walks, we'll get in the truck, we'll drive the 10 or 15 minutes to get to the beach, and then go for a 3-mile walk on the beach.
Right? Yeah, that has been fabulous. When the wind's not blowing at 40 miles an hour.
True. So the beaches are phenomenal, and you're not going to see any really crowded beaches. Yeah. We haven't been to Florida, so I can't speak to what the beaches are like in Florida this year. I just know what they're like here, and they're awesome.
Fabulous. Yes.
So speaking of beaches, another thing that we've seen a lot of people really enjoy here is saltwater fishing.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that was the thing that you see every time you go to the beach is people out with surf cast rods, surf fishing, and doing well. One of our
a lot of people bringing fish in.
One of our first trips when we went to Crystal Beach, a young man caught a really nice size.
I don't know, he held it like this, and that's pretty big. So, we'll put that picture in just so you can see the fish.
Yeah, it was a good sized fish. So there's plenty of stuff for fishing if fishing's your deal. You can come here and fish. And even when we were in Anahuac, we were right by Trinity Bay. A lot of people were going to Trinity Bay and fishing there as well. Right.
Tons of fishing. If you love to fish, why not come here? Do you enjoy space? We do. And so we took in the Space Center in Houston, which was really cool. We did do a video on that. You can always go back and take a look at that. Now that is $29.95 per person to get in. So it's not super expensive, but of course it's not cheap, but it's a great day trip for the family. So it's really cool.
You can spend the whole day there.
You could.
And there, because if you go back and watch the video, you'll see that there's like 3 different tours that take you from the main building. We only did one of the 3, and we were there for 4 hours or more. So it's easy to spend an entire day. So $29.95 is really not a bad price for as much as you're getting an opportunity to see. And they also do
a lot of demonstrations
and stuff inside. So it's well worth it in my opinion.
Now you want something free to do with space? go check out SpaceX down at South Padre Island. Now that one was really cool. You could drive through it. You can go in and look at where they have their Airstream homes. That was really cool.
That was pretty neat. I mean, they've got an entire like one block where they have set up what kind of looks like an RV park,
Right.
But it's all Airstreams, and there were more around the corner in the back that haven't been set up yet. So my guess is, and if you know what the answer is, but this is my guess. If you know the answer, put it in the comments below. But my guess is that those Airstreams that are being set up down there are for employees of SpaceX who are going to be working there, and they don't have to commute.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if it's for some sort of big wigs or not, but they also have like some tiny homes going up down there. So I think they're kind of doing a blend to try and figure out what might work best for employees who are working there.
Yeah, but it's really cool because you can actually just like drive through their little neighborhood.
Right.
It's really neat. You can stop along the side of the road. You can take pictures. You can see all kinds of stuff. People in there working and building all of these. You see like little rocket heads, and then you go down further on the road, and you can actually see a full-size rocket and the launch pad. So
Right.
maybe if you just get lucky enough, we did not, that you might be able to see a liftoff of the rockets
Right.
going into space, which would really cool if we could catch that. Maybe the next time we come.
Another thing that we really enjoyed while we were here was going to the USS Lexington and doing the self-guided tour, which cost $18.95 per person. Now there is an additional $5 for parking. It's downtown, that's all day, so that's not too bad.
Right.
The Lexington was really neat, and they had so much. Again, we spent hours just walking around. Now they do have some guided tours and various things like that there as well, and they even do like ghost tour.
They do
I
a
believe.
ghost tour too. Yeah, if you really want to, if you're into that kind of stuff.
So if that's your thing, check that out as well.
You know, the other thing that they do is an escape room
Right?
on the Lexington.
On the Lexington.
Now, how cool would that be?
I guess if you're in the Navy, there might be some cheating involved because some of those Navy guys probably know all the little
Right.
secrets. Me being an Air Force guy, I wouldn't know those secrets. But one of the things I thought was cool was on the deck of the Lexington is the F-14 Tomcat that was used in the movie Top Gun. So I thought that was pretty neat. I was a big fan of the movie. I was in high school when that
Right.
movie came out, and to see that they had that airplane on their deck sitting there for you to check out, I thought that was pretty neat.
Right. Yeah. They also have an area where they play a tribute to Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And they have all of the names
They have
listed
all the names.
from the USS Arizona. You know, so if you really like that type of history and stuff, it's a great place to take your kids and explain what happened in our history. It's really neat and you can spend all day there because it's a self-guided tour the whole way.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how long you take. You want to take 2 hours, take 2 hours. If you want to take 6 hours, take 6 hours. It's really neat to go through that.
So another activity that we really enjoy is going to national wildlife refuges.
Right.
And we went to one down by Aransas Pass, and it only cost us $5 for the day.
$5 for the car. So
Yeah,
however
for
many
the
people
car.
have in your car. So that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool and cheap again. And then there was another wildlife refuge just a few miles away from where we're at right now, and that was free.
Yeah. So we've seen alligators, a lot of your coastal birds. We actually saw the spoonbills here. Those are pink. I love it because
Right.
pink is my favorite color. So it just, you know, it's just a really great place to take your family, or if you're just a bird watcher, because there's so many different ocean birds that it's really cool to see them all in that area like that too. So shopping is another thing. Oh my God.
So much.
So depending on what type of shopping you want, you have to think that you're on the coast of Texas. You have large cities, which have all of these malls, outlet malls, all of that kind of stuff. You also have your smaller towns where you can go for like your little gift shops and stuff like that. Galveston has a lot of history in it. So
Right.
if you really like to learn about history and shop at the same time, they have signs on the road, and you can just walk up and down the streets and read all of the signs about all of the history, and then step into a shop and shop away.
And guys, there are plenty of benches on the sidewalks. So you can do what I did. We brought Sky with us that day. There were a couple stores she was welcome in, and there were a couple that she was not. But there were plenty of benches. So while Alice went in and out of shops all day, I just sat on the bench and enjoyed the sun and the beautiful weather.
Beautiful day that day. It was like 60, 65, so it was kind of cool, but the sun was out. Great day to sit outside while the women shop.
So keep that in mind, because trust me, the benches are very handy and they're clean.
Right.
The benches are all clean.
Yeah, you do pay a very small fee for parking.
Right.
We paid $3 for 2 hours, so not bad.
So our last topic really is going to be all about availability. Now, when I say availability, I'm talking about RV parks and RV sites.
Right.
Because we know right now there's been so many people flooding the RV life and going full time, which we think is amazing. There are a ton of videos out there all the time about don't go full time because you're not going to be able to get reservations or whatever. We have not found that to be a problem here. We did not schedule months in advance. We scheduled like a month, maybe 2 months at the most in advance. Sometimes it was like a week in advance. There was only one time that we called a park and they couldn't give us the exact month that we asked for, and that was because one of the weekends they had this cowboy something going on.
It's like a Mardi Gras for cowboys.
And that park was full for that weekend. They said if you want to come just after that weekend, not a problem, we can get you for a month.
So what did I do? Because I hadn't another reservation yet, I just flipped my months from one place to another place, and I'm going the next month now. Instead of in February, we're going in March. So easy.
And every single park we've stayed at has had multiple sites open. And every park that we've stayed at has had concrete pads to park on. You know, so the sites are pretty good for the rates. The availability has been phenomenal.
Right.
I mean, every site we've been at, even the best of the RV parks that we've been at, that was already booking for next winter, they still probably had 20 or 30 sites open and available. So I don't think you're going to find availability to be a problem.
Right. Because the site that was right next to us stayed empty the whole entire month that we were there, and then the pull-throughs on the other side of the park, those were mostly empty the whole month that we were there also. So there's definitely availability. Now the amount of RV parks, holy cow.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
You can't drive 5 miles without seeing an RV park. They're everywhere. So that helps with the availability, of course, because there's so many different parks. Get onto your RV Trip Wizard and find those parks, and they give you a lot of information of prices and all of that kind of stuff. So you definitely can find a place to stay with no problems whatsoever.
Time out.
Oh.
Don't leave yet.
Oh.
Hang on. Got more information for you. So now, if you haven't yet, now's a great time to hit subscribe. Hit the like. Come on, help us out.
It's right down there.
Okay? Help us out. Give us a comment. Say, hey, I found this video very informative. Something like that. Now, we just did this.
Hang on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If you're watching us on the TV, I'm sure you got your phone in your hand. Pull us up on your phone, and you can hit like and subscribe, and you don't even have to leave your couch.
That's easy. So we just did this video about staying on the coast of Texas. This is our last month on the coast, and in about 2 weeks we're going to be moving inland, and we're going to give you an idea of what it's like to RV inland Texas as well.
In their hill country.
In the hill country.
So we are going west of San Antonio into 2 different RV parks there, and just a little hint, their prices are cheaper than the coast if you want to go inland.
Now I'm sure the weather's different inland than it is on the coast also.
Just check your weather.
Keep that in mind.
Right? So we'll get to go and check out San Antonio and all of the different places that are over there. So make sure you stick around for that.
And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified when those videos come out.
Exactly, because you're not going to want to miss it.